on Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out, we're celebrating 250 episodes. What are some of my favorite podcast episodes? What will inspire you to take action and clear some clutter? Were these your favorite episodes, or do you have others? Enjoy a compilation from 250 episodes of Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out.
Ready to clear your clutter and share your gifts with the world? Every Tuesday at 1 p.m., join award-winning professional organizer, author, and certified life coach Julie Coraccio on Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out as she teaches you how to navigate the waters to declutter your life. Julie Coraccio destroys the box and examines clutter in all areas: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, relationships, health, finances, and more.
I know. I said I was going to take a break. And then I was like, we just did 250 episodes. That's a huge milestone. I have to celebrate that in some way. I was inspired because I did a compilation for the 100th episode. You can check that out. Those were some of my favorite clips from episodes 1 to 99. This is from episodes 101 to 250. You can always listen and watch the full episodes, and you can enjoy all my hairstyle changes. I am allergic to hair dye, we found out, and so it's been a lot of fun trying to find something that works. So I had some blonde highlights, and I'm much better, I believe, as my natural hair color, which is a brunette. So that's lots of fun. Here are clips from some of my favorite podcasts. It was tough. It was like choosing my favorite child, and I had a lot of fun with it. I encourage you. I talk about reading Eat, Pray, and Love every year because there's something new that I discover. Go back to some of the episodes earlier that might have resonated with you and see if you can pick up something new. And if something super annoyed you, I really encourage you to check it out because there's a gift there to do some healing. Here are 21 clips from 21 of my favorite episodes. March bonus 2016. Finding joy once you've cleared clutter. When I first started this podcast, the name came to me quite easily. I had been doing Reawaken Your Brilliance for 3 years and felt it was time for the next adventure. Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out popped into my head and began to take hold in June of 2014. The tagline, "For a more joyful and fulfilling life," also plopped right into my brain. I support people in clearing clutter so they can create more joy in their lives. But sometimes people struggle with what brings them joy. Maybe they have had clutter so long in their lives they can't even see beyond that to focus on what makes them happy. Or perhaps when they were younger, they were told what they should like and had their activities chosen for them and never really were able to explore what brought them joy. How to find joy? If you don't know what brings you joy, how do you find it? Here are some suggestions. Go back to your childhood. What did you enjoy doing? Use those as starting points and see if it is something you would like to explore now. I used to love to walk behind the hill on our house as a child. I love hiking and do it almost weekly with my husband. Have you heard yourself say, "I want to do this someday"? Keep a running list when you find yourself thinking or saying this. Next, make that someday now. Begin to explore. Maybe something you thought would be fun isn't. That's okay. Keep looking, make it a game, and have fun. If you aren't sure if something would bring you joy, how does it feel when you think about it? Does it feel light? Do you get excited when you think about it? If so, give it a shot. If it feels heavy or not right, then pass. Be open that that feeling might change in the future. Episode 123 from July of 2016. Junk drawer. It is estimated that $15 billion in unused tech gadgets are in junk drawers worldwide. That amounts to over 2,200 per drawer. I picked this topic for this month because it is something that most people can do quickly. It is a win-win because you get to you can do it quickly and reap an immediate reward. Create a new name. The first thing I suggest is renaming your junk drawer. Completely remove it from your vocabulary. It is so easy to clutter it up because we have already declared it to be junk. Turn off the autopilot junk drawer. Come up with a better name. Coraccio Fix-It, Cybert Problem Solver, Julie's Jack of all trades. You get the idea. If you name it something like that, you're most likely going to put items that fit into that category. Keep the name broad so you have some leeway. If it doesn't fit in that category, then that is a good indication it may need a new home. Also from July in 2016, the bonus episode, Feel Your Feelings. This is one of those shows for me that I hope you are able to do in some way, shape, or form. Working on feeling my feelings has had a huge impact on my life. Why we avoid feelings? We avoid some feelings because they don't feel good. Grief, loneliness, heartbreak, and outrage. Other emotions that we create through the stories we tell ourselves, such as guilt, shame, depression, and emptiness, aren't fun either. Who wants to feel yucky feelings? Research has shown that suppressing or avoiding your emotions, in fact, can make them stronger. So if you're sad because you broke up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, but want to avoid feeling sad, you may watch funny TV shows and movies or act as if the breakup didn't occur. The sadness is still present in your mind and in your body as we store emotions. Everything is energy. Something minor may cause you to fly off the handle. Even if you were avoiding sadness, it may come out as anger. Suppressing emotions is your body's way of protecting you during trauma. Emotional release in a non-traumatic situation is your body's way of protecting itself from further damage and releasing stuck emotions. How feeling our feelings supports us. While it isn't fun to feel unpleasant feelings, they actually help us. They intuitively know something is wrong, like cancer. Many people will express they knew something was off in their body, but chose to ignore what they were feeling. If we check in with ourselves, our feelings let us know if we are not on the right path. Episode 126, also from July 2016, Declutter Your Life Through Gossip.
Oh, but it's okay to gossip. If you think others might want you to gossip, you're right. Gossip makes magazines sell and viewers visit websites. On my iPad news feed, there are gossip articles, even though I didn't add them as an item I was interested in. Gossip has now become part of the mainstream media. Celebrity gossip is a $3 billion a year industry, according to the New York Times. Take a moment to check in with yourself. How do you participate in celebrity gossip? Do you chat with your friends about what you hear? Do you read online gossip sites? How much do you spend, say a subscription to People magazine, to stay current with gossip? While most gossip might be viewed as harmless, it can be harmful. If two people are looking for a promotion, one could leak gossip for a competitive edge. I believe many times we gossip to feel better about ourselves and to have a focal point for our frustration. At least that's what I found for myself. I would think I'm not as bad as those crazy housewives. Putting someone else down doesn't raise me up. In fact, it lowers my vibration. Ever since I quit reading gossip, I feel a lot better. When we focus on the faults of others, how can we expect others not to do the same to us? Whatever you put out in the world comes back to you in some way, shape, or form. When we take delight in the mean things about others, couldn't our time be better spent working on ourselves, improving our own lives, or supporting others to improve theirs?
September bonus from 2016, Victim Mentality, How to Stop Being a Victim. And a little note with this one, this was before I officially did the podcast, so this was done probably in 2014, maybe 2013, and I love the subject so much, I had to use it as one of the podcasts, and I really want to update it and listen to it because I think this is something a lot of us, including yours truly, would benefit from. So look for another episode on victim mentality. I had this great aha moment once, probably it was like 10, 15 years ago. My younger brother, who is not particularly spiritual, said to me, you know what, you feel like you're a victim. You have this victim mentality. And I remember not getting angry. I remember stopping like, and I actually thought about it. And I was like, wow, he's right. And that was
a realization for me, because I couldn't even comprehend that I was feeling like a victim. It took my younger brother pointing that out to me. And that's kind of how I feel like with the people in the post, that I don't think they see that as being a victim. But so many of us have this mentality, and so that's why I wanted to talk about it today. Again, there's no judgment in this. The other thing I would say, if I say something really angers you, that is an invitation for you to dig deeper and explore, because if it angers you, it's something within you. You know, Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. And it's the same with feeling like a victim. So I'm going to use the example of what happened on the Facebook post. So I grew up in Wheeling, West Virginia, and last year there was a horrible rape in Steubenville, Ohio, which is right across the way. And the girl, I believe, was unconscious or drunk to a point where she couldn't respond, was raped, pictures were put up. Football is very big in that area, and coaches were involved in football, and the school didn't do anything. And then the group Anonymous got involved, and basically, from my understanding, kind of forced the situation, because they weren't going to be prosecuted, weren't doing anything. And I believe both young men had jail time in juvenile court and then probation, but, you know, please, that's something I don't know about. Now Brad Pitt's production company is going to be making a movie on this, and people in my hometown were really upset. The one thing I would start off by saying is they kept saying the victim, the victim, the victim. I would change that. I think that as long as you see yourself as a victim, that just adds to the energy. And so I would find a word that's comfortable for you. You know what? Even if survivor to me, I think is a step in the right direction. I don't think it's quite there, but you know, they just kept referring to this woman as a victim. I don't know where she is in her healing process, but she might be healed right now. And people out there might be saying, oh no, she went through this horrible tragedy. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people who've had something horrible happen to them and forgive the person. I've seen a mother who lost a child to a drunk driver forgive the driver, because that enabled her to find peace inside. So on this Facebook thread, first of all, many people assume the worst, that Brad Pitt was only doing this for greed, that it was going to harm the victim, and that it was going to upset peace in the community, would not allow the community to heal. A film can't do that. You can allow a film to do that, but you control whether or not you heal. You control whether or not you're a victim. To put it on external forces is another way of reinforcing the victim mentality, because that allows one to step back and take zero responsibility and say, oh, events happen to me. I have nothing to do with this process. But when you're in a victim mentality, you attract that. And again, for people who are less spiritual, I'd encourage you to read more about quantum physics, because your thoughts create your reality. And that's something that they've proven. So if that's something you're not quite sure about, read more literature and learn more about it. So anyway, you know, these people were really angry and upset, and I tried to offer a different perspective and thought, well, you know, maybe this creates awareness about this, because our society allows women and children too easily, and men, to be raped and not care. And so if it brings awareness, there are positive things that come out, but the tone of the thread was, you know, we are all victims here, and I don't believe that. And then the final, I didn't comment after this, because I thought, you know, I tried to, in a non-judgmental way, comment. Someone said, this movie will not allow them to have peace. Again, you create that. The film doesn't do anything. Whatever Brad Pitt does to you, if you are at peace inside, Brad Pitt can't take that away from you.
December 2016, episode 150, Clearing Physical Clutter Through Closure.
When I was in my 20s, I saw a therapist. She remarked to me that on a certain issue, I continued to pick at it, and like an open wound, it would never heal if I didn't leave it alone. I figured out later that what I really needed was closure. I don't think we honor closure enough in our society. We are to ignore our feelings or move on or show that brave face. It's my experience that when you have closure, you can more easily and truly move on. But not everyone needs closure. It's important to know that there is no timetable for getting closure. What physical clutter would you like to release and get closure? In my work as a professional organizer and coach, I've seen clients hold on to momentums from relationships that didn't work out. Think a high school boyfriend or girlfriend. I have also witnessed clients holding on to things a family member gave them that they hated. What do you need to get closure on that would allow you to release clutter? Focus on items you have held on for years, something you dislike
or something that no longer represents who you are, who you want to be? What are you seeing as you look around? Do any of your items bring up feelings like guilt, sadness, or anger? If you're feeling any not so great feelings, that is a good place to start. This happens more often than you may realize. How do you begin to get closure? First, ask why you are holding on to something. Does the item make you happy, or do you hold on because you wish things had turned out differently instead of actually how they did, such as a failed relationship? Are you holding on as an excuse to stay stuck and unresolved instead of moving forward? Are you avoiding loss and hoping to avoid the pain that comes with it? Are you afraid to let something go because you don't know what the outcome will be or how you will feel? Or do you have guilt? Perhaps you weren't kind to a relative who left you something and you feel you need to do penance.
Anxious, exhausted, stressed out, losing your mind, ready to get your life back? Go to reawakenyourbrilliance.com to learn how Julie Coraccio can support you.
Episode 158, Listening to Your Intuition, from January 2017. We all have our intuition, our gut feelings, instincts, whatever you're comfortable calling it. Many times we disregard it. It's there to support us and help us. If you're not comfortable relying on your intuition, we're going to give you ways to start accessing that magical knowledge. Years ago, I don't even know if I could articulate what my intuition was. Then a few big things happened. I was in Hawaii visiting a friend, and I was on the beach by myself, and I had kind of isolated myself because I just wanted to be alone, and I'd been skinny dipping, having fun in the ocean, and was away from a lot of people. And I heard, "Get up," and I heard, "Get up," and I didn't do anything. And I heard, "Get up now." And it scared the heck out of me. And I get up and I turn around and creepy man is staring at me. And if I hadn't have gotten up and moved, I wouldn't be able to see because he was kind of in the shadows. He was behind one of those big palm trees. Later the next day, I heard that a woman had been raped where I'd been at the beach. I'm convinced it's that guy. There's no doubt in my mind that had I not listened to my intuition, that I would have been harmed. I always tell my clients that they know best, and it's my job to support them in finding the wisdom within. The more you can clear that mental clutter, the easier it is to access your intuition. Block off time on your calendar to practice accessing your intuition. Look at it as something fun, not as another thing you have to do. I don't think it helps you if you feel it as a to-do. Let's get in a good frame of mind and have fun with it. Create a sacred space. This doesn't have to be a whole room or some fancy setup. I have a chair I regularly meditate in. We have moved the chair around, and it is still where I choose to meditate. It's as if my body knows, okay, time to slow down and meditate when I sit in the chair. So in January, number 159, Destroying Your Doubt. Today we're talking about doubt. I chose to talk about this because every client I have ever worked with has had some doubt at some level, believing they couldn't do something or a project couldn't be accomplished. I have doubt as well. All the time. I usually have a lot of doubt when I'm starting something new or have a major project. The only thing I have had zero doubt about was my husband. I had doubt when starting my business, moving to Los Angeles, moving to North Carolina, doing public speaking, writing my course. In 2011, I won a National Association of Professional Organizers Los Angeles Award. It's a big deal at the time. I'd been in business just 2 years and no one thought I would win. I was there with one of my best friends and he said the crowd gasped when my name was called because I was up against some well-known people. One of the things that I did was I had my Oprah voice and that I had won and then let it go. I am the eco-organizing winner. And every time I had doubt, I would do my Oprah voice and say that I won. And I would also ask, why not me? If we have a lot of doubt, that can make us shut down our goals. How do we clear our doubt? I use my Oprah voice. I ask, why not me? But here are some other suggestions. First of all, you have to make sure what you're doing is valuable and meaningful to you. It has to have purpose, or doubt can creep in more easily. Here are some other ways to quash your doubt. You're not alone. Remember, everyone has doubts. I just shared all my doubts with you. It's disheartening to believe that you're the only one suffering from a lack of confidence. Make a list of your doubts and then contradict them. I doubt people will like my books on Amazon. Contradiction. I have a very popular podcast, so obviously someone likes me. I'm a good writer and I get paid to write. I will take my time to edit so I won't be criticized for sloppy writing. Stop comparing your accomplishments to your friends and coworkers. When I start comparing, I start to feel worry and less than. We are all on our own journeys, and you cannot compare apples to oranges. Don't grade your success based on another. Do what works for you. Trying to be something you are never works. People always sense inauthenticity. Episode 165, Honoring Your Truth, from February 2017. The other thing that happened was I received an email from a listener, and I would say that I would call this constructive criticism or feedback. This was coming from a wonderful place, and so I didn't view it as anything negative. However, it really sparked in me how we need to honor our truth, because I have to honor what is right and works for me. And I'm always open to being the best that I can be. I do today on Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out, because that was feedback that someone gave me. They wanted to coach me and have me pay them a ton of money. And I also do the takeaways. And now I've this year created the take actions. That was another suggestion, which I think is great. So I'm always open, and I honor my truth. Honoring our truth might be hard to figure out. It might be daunting. You might be struggling. Don't worry. I don't think I could have told you maybe even a few years ago if I was honoring my truth. So the more you practice, that's why I'm always talking about having a mindfulness practice that helps quiet the mind, because honoring your truth for me comes from your heart, comes from your soul. It's not the ego. It's not the body personality. So the more you quiet the body personality and the ego down, you can hear your truth. So if you struggle, here's where I'd begin. So first, look at the facts. I have a big sign. My coach really holds my feet to the fire in this. And so I have a big sign that says, "Just the facts, ma'am." So what do I mean by this? So we don't have any story around it. So I get this email, I could create a story. Wow, I'm the worst podcaster ever because this woman doesn't like me. She doesn't like how I do my podcast. And I don't add emotion to it. Oh my gosh, people don't like me. This is really awful. What can I do? And you get in that head game and you start spinning around. So I look at the facts. Okay, well, let's look at your podcast. You are in the top 20% of podcasts downloaded. You have lots of great reviews. You have gotten lots of good feedback on how you've helped people, and your podcast continues to grow. In November, we got over 35,000 downloads a month. Just to give you an idea, the average podcast gets 300 downloads in a day. I'm averaging over 1,000 a day. So 300 in a month versus 1,000 a day, what I'm getting. Now, I'm not quite on serial 6. That would be great, but I'm really proud that from the beginning, there's been an interest and it continues to grow. So the facts are my podcast is growing. So that makes you think, if it continues to grow, then I must be doing something right. If I wasn't honoring my truth, I would immediately do what this woman said, because what is right for her, what she prefers, I would try to make it my truth, because I would think, well, she's right, and not trust myself. So I encourage you, first thing, look at the facts. We don't attach a story to it. We don't attach emotions when we're trying to honor our truth. From April 2017, episode 175, The Art of Allowing. How do we practice the art of allowing? For me, the first thing, and probably the hardest, is trust. When we have trust or faith, or whatever you may like to call it, we allow life to unfold and trust the process. We don't try to control it. Allowing takes faith, patience, and trust. While these can bring you peace of mind and well-being, we aren't encouraged to practice this in our go, 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 results-oriented culture. And if not so great things have happened to us in the past, it's easy to see why we wouldn't want to allow life unfold and we would try to control it. How do you practice the art of allowing? First, check in with how you feel about this. This may be a new concept for some of you and very scary for others. How comfortable are you with allowing things to happen in your life? Are you okay allowing people to be who they are and act as they do? Or would you rather try and control things? Try and become aware of how you feel about allowing and where you may become hung up. I used to always try and control finding my husband. I would go somewhere where I thought eligible men might be, or try to be someone who I wasn't. I was always like, when's it going to happen? When I finally didn't try to make it happen and control who, when, where, how, what, I found Tony. Episode 188, 10-minute tip, how to effectively say no, from July 2017. Many people struggle with saying no. If we don't say no, we can create a ton of clutter in our lives. We could create emotional clutter with anger for doing something we didn't want to. Physical clutter from holding on to stuff that isn't ours. Spiritual clutter by not honoring what our soul needs. Mental clutter by beating ourselves up by ruminating about the woulda, coulda, shouldas. Relationship clutter because we aren't hanging out with supportive people. And financial clutter by loaning money when we can't say no. Being able to say no is about good boundaries. If someone gets upset with you when you say no, not your problem. People that respect you will respect your boundaries. Let the others go. Why can't we say no? Someone might get confused and think they're a bad person. Most times as children, we're taught it's not okay to say no, it's not polite, or it's even rude. Sometimes we're just on autopilot. I was on vacation with my mom a few years ago, and I was shocked at how quickly I went to autopilot and felt like I was 5 years old. And I've worked on myself a lot. If saying no is new to you, be gentle with yourself. Know you are loved, good enough, and worthy. Don't depend on someone else's opinion of you. Some other reasons we don't say no are, if I don't do it, who will? Or we want to be liked. Perhaps we're afraid we'll miss out on something. Episode 193, Being Unproductive to Be Productive, from August 2017. I took 2 weeks last July, and I watched The Good Wife. I think there might have been 9 seasons. I just couldn't do anything. Now, I'd answer email every day, of course, had to do that. I was so incredibly unmotivated. And in general, that's not like me. I tried to resist, tried to fight, wasn't happening. I'd sit down to do work, couldn't write, couldn't concentrate. Looking back, I know the universe had my back because my schedule was free for 2 weeks, and that doesn't happen. So I spent those 2 weeks watching A Good Wife. Pretty good show. I would suggest others if you're going to binge watch TV. After those 2 weeks, my productivity, when I went back to work that Monday, shot through the roof. I got more done in those 4 hours that I could have gotten done in 2 weeks. I needed a break. I needed a mental break. I needed a physical break. I needed to get out of routine, out of my rut. For whatever reason, I needed a break. Luckily, I honored myself and I listened to that. I know as a small business owner, that's huge. It scared the heck out of me, if I'm honest. Because I'm a small business owner, there's always something to do. So I know if you're out there listening and it scares you to stop and be unproductive, I know where you're coming from. Why being unproductive is good. We aren't meant to go, go, go all the time. That causes burnout. For me, even when I'm unproductive, I know now I am being productive on a creative level. I'm stewing on ideas. I'm letting things marinate. I'm giving my brain and a soul rest to let them do their thing. There is a difference between being busy and being productive. When you are multitasking, you can make mistakes, not really getting stuff done. I talk a lot about being present. The older I get, the more I practice my spirituality, the more things just come to you. When you're busy, going, there's not space to open that up, to allow things to come to you. The August bonus from 2017. Are you doing the spiritual override? I know most of you are like me, on a spiritual path or a path of awareness or mindfulness, whatever you're most comfortable calling it. And you probably believe, like I did, that what I was doing is good, healthy behavior. Not taking anything personally and pretending that I wasn't hurt really isn't the ideal reaction. Most of us probably do the spiritual override more often than we think. When we do the spiritual override, we aren't acknowledging the truth. We are distancing ourselves from the feelings. I didn't want to acknowledge the mean girls really hurt me. I wanted to rise above it. I have been working really hard on this because I do it more often than I realize. It's more of a zoning out instead of a zoning in. The truth was, I didn't want to feel the pain or feel that I could survive the pain, although I know on one level that I absolutely can. Or perhaps a part of it was I felt like, hey, I've done all this spiritual work. How can I be so upset? Are you denying something that has happened? Are you afraid of feeling what you feel? We are spiritual beings living in a human body. Even though we keep going around that spiral and we have more and more access to consciousness, it doesn't mean we're going to get caught up in life.
Surrounded by clutter? Exhausted from the stress and anxiety it creates? Longing for peace of mind? Go to reawakenyourbrilliance.com to learn how Julie Coraccio can assist you.
Episode 207, What's Your Baggage? From October 2017. So what relationship clutter could you be bringing in? Family drama. You could have been abused as a child or not treated really well. It might show up as you having a lot of anger toward your parents, and something minor might set you off. So there might be fighting at family events. Maybe you have an addict in the family that takes a lot of attention and time, and that makes you frustrated and exhausted. Are you bringing in family drama to your relationship? And is it having a negative impact? Depression. Are you moody? Unsocial? How is your self-esteem? Do you complain a lot? Are you irritated easily? Have you lost interest in the things you used to love? I have a couple of male friends that all they do is complain, and I have had to take a big step back because it's too much. I can't even imagine being in a relationship with them because it just gets overwhelming and you don't want to hear people complain all the time. Are you bringing that into your relationship? The ex. Are you constantly mentioning your ex? Do you still have photos and other mementos around? Are you still talking about your ex to your friends? Are you comparing your current partner to your ex? Does your boyfriend or girlfriend compare you in any way to their ex? Paranoia. Do you trust your partner? If you experienced infidelity in the past, is it affecting your current relationship? If you don't fully trust your partner, it could manifest itself into being needy or clinging or snooping and invading privacy. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Do you hold back your emotions? Are you reliving trauma from the past? What have you been holding back from sharing and why? Commitment phobe. Do you really want to be single? What is keeping you from committing? What makes you hesitate? This may be the time to dig deep and get support. In December of 2017, episode 215, Going with Grace. When my grandmother died, She had prepared a lot of things, written her obituary, had everything set up, and it made things a lot easier. My parents, my grandmother, not super rich. I would consider us middle class. And I want people to get out of the mindset, because I think sometimes people think, well, we don't have a lot of money. We don't need to take care of these things, and I'm not going to worry about it. I would encourage you to start thinking about these things. I'd like to plant a little seed. This can be a really difficult thing for people to think about. I was tearing up. I know my father's going to die, but I just didn't want to deal with it. So I'd encourage you to think about the people that you'll be leaving behind. If you've listened to the podcast for a while, you know I love my Sybil. It's in, I believe, an episode from 2015. Interviewed Sybil, was like a second mother to me. I helped her plan her obituary. I helped design the little, what do you call it, the little handout at the service, and put that together. And we talked to a printer about that when I was down in Louisiana visiting her one time. And when she died, her grandson called and said, okay, I know you have this. The printer says they can't find it. Luckily, the organizer had left it, even though I was in my sent mailbox, so I was able to forward that to him, and she was able to have the little brochure that she wanted. Again, this can be a hard subject for many, and so my hope is this is to get the conversation started. But I encourage you to start to take some steps moving forward so you can go with grace. And from this year, 2018, episode 220, mission statement, I am possible, from January. Mission impossible. Dun, 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 dun. I'm possible. Try thinking that the next time you think something is impossible. Break out that word. I'm possible. Why would you choose to write a personal mission statement? I've talked a lot on this podcast about taking action, not sleepwalking through life, and of course, clearing your clutter. A mission statement is one of those things that can guide you and help keep you focused. And it might also help you if you're struggling with priorities or to figure out what is important to you. A mission statement can help you clarify what you choose to do in life. It can also serve as inspiration. It can support you when taking actions or trying to make decisions. Does doing this fit within your personal mission statement? Ask yourself when trying to make a decision, choosing to or not to do something. Writing your personal statement. Here are some tips to get you started. What are the roles you perform or would like to perform? Mother, business owner, animal rescuer. What is the meaning of your everyday work or personal life? To support people in clearing clutter. To spread love. To be more mindful. What nouns and adjectives paint a picture of you? Compassionate, caring, organized, excited. What verbs describe how you would like to operate in the world? Globally, shared, paired, loved, inspired. What would your ideal life look like? What would you be doing every single day? What would get you out of bed jumping for joy? I wouldn't be rushed in the morning. I'd have time to play with Joey, Antonio, and Athena. I'd have time to connect with my husband. I would support people in creating the life they desired. through being more mindful, getting organized, and clearing clutter. I would share my passion through writing, through books, through a podcast, through videos. Episode 226, Can You Receive, from February. Meeting my husband was a huge support in learning how to receive more. I had never before been in a relationship where the give and take was so balanced. We really aren't taught to receive, at least I wasn't. Maybe in a super enlightened or aware household, but I have yet to meet someone who talks regularly with their kids about receiving. And if you do, hats off. Can you receive a compliment? Or do you wave it off and immediately recite all your faults? If you get a gift, do you feel you need to give something immediately in return? If someone is kind and offers to support you, do you shoo them away? Why do we struggle to receive? Like anything, you can learn how to do this and simply need practice building your muscles. For some, giving more could make them feel like they are in charge and in control, while receiving could make them feel out of control. How many of you out there feel the need to be in control all the time? I used to be in control. I've learned through life, I'm not the one in control. I only have control over how I respond, what I think, what I say, what I do. Can't control my husband, can't control my clients, definitely cannot control the cats. When you learn to lighten up and realize that, you can find more peace. The February awareness, forget that stuff. Where do you need to say, forget that stuff? Where do you need to release what others are telling or suggesting you do? How many times have we let others or our perceptions dictate what we will or will not do? It's time to release it. Why would we be hesitant to say, forget that stuff? I'm walking away from a group I've been involved with for 3.5 years, a mentor I've worked with in that time. That's not easy. I do have some mixed emotions about that. When we don't walk away, we are seeking others' approval. I'm a reformed people pleaser / doormat. Not only is living this way exhausting, it's suffocating. Consider writing down how you feel. Did anyone say anything to you to make you feel that way? Does being around a certain person make you feel not so great? What can you discover when you write down your feelings?
Do you keep saying you'll declutter, get organized, or pursue your dreams someday, but someday hasn't come? Learn how Julie Coraccio can support you at reawakenyourbrilliance.com.
Episode 231 from March, Everyday Enlightenment. When I do these practices, recognize and honor them, I have more peace in my life. I'm happier. If I fall off, and I do fall off, I get back up. This is also fluid. I don't wake up reciting these. Someone screams at me, stop, take a deep breath. Okay, remember. The more I practice them, the more ingrained they become into me, and so it's my automatic reaction. What others do and say is about them. How I respond is about me. This was a huge one for me. I got this from reading a few books, primarily The Four Agreements. Talk about an aha moment. This is something I wish I would have learned ages ago. So, for example, when someone is unkind to me, zero to do with me. And you might say, okay, Julie, let's turn the tables here. What if you were super duper unkind to someone, then it would be okay for a person to react. Still applies. We had a relative visitor over Thanksgiving who was horrible to me. I consciously chose not to come down to that level. Trust me, there were tons of things I could have done. I chose not to. I didn't want to drop down to her level. I was more concerned about me. How am I responding? How am I reacting? So we take that focus because that makes us a victim when it's all on the other person. So we bring the focus back to us. How am I responding? What does that say about me? We waste so much energy about what everyone else is doing when we could be using that to improve ourselves. So when people are stinky, I always bring it back. What others are doing and saying is about them. How I respond is about me. Am I responding the way I'd like to? What wound is there that needs to be healed? Because we're all coming from our wounds. This is a gift. This is an opportunity. What can I do to clear it, to heal? Am I worrying about what others do and say? Or am I more focused on me? How am I responding? Am I responding the way I'd like to in most situations? Where do I have knee-jerk reactions when I respond? Episode 240, Great Expectations from May. I wanted to share this quote from Anne Lamott. Expectations are resentments under construction. Why do we have expectations? We assume, and our trouble begins here. You know what the assume means? We have all learned that since a child. It makes an ass out of you and me. Some of the assumptions we might have is that people have the same thought process as we do. Simply not true. We think if it makes sense to us, it should make sense to others, right? One of the things that I'm really grateful for in my work, because I work so closely with people, is it has taught me to ask questions, to be more understanding, to be more compassionate, because it might make complete sense to me and it's Greek to someone else. And so I have to explain, and it's great practice at that, and making sure I'm clear and finding a way to reach a person so that they understand and how they think and process things. We also make the mistake of assuming that if we have certain expectations, others will have the same, right? Usually what happens as we begin to have these expectations, our emotions come out. No matter how much we are spiritual, we know we're a spiritual being, we are human. We're having this human experience. We're always going to have some emotions. So if we're super excited or really sad or really annoyed, we would think others would feel the same way too. We have to remember that people think and react differently. Again, I've mentioned this before. What others do and say is about them. How we respond is about us. That's where we want to put our focus. And finally, episode 247 from June, Whose Voice Is That? This week, examine your thoughts, emotions, and feelings. Ask yourself, whose voice is that? If it doesn't feel good, it probably isn't your voice. If we're really coming from our soul, our spirit, don't you think it'll feel good? I had an art teacher when I was in junior high who always gave me bad grades. And for a long time, I was really afraid to do art because I thought I was just terrible. I discovered when I was a nanny and I lived in just outside of Boston, and I'm like, I have to do something. So I would go into Boston and took some oil painting classes. And I discovered that I'm pretty good. I've got my oil paints recently. I need to set aside time. It might not happen until I get to the beach. Other things that I'm working on that have to get done. But I'm so excited to pick back oil painting up again because I'm actually pretty good. My mom discovered in her 50s that she's a really good watercolor painter. All the Christmas cards that she does now are her original art. We have original art in our home, and my mom has continued to grow in her art, and it's awesome to see. And that's something that I want to get back into. So I had to overcome the voice of a junior high art teacher saying, you know what, you kind of stink. And be like, you know what, got some instruction. I know I could do even more. Do you have something similar in your life where the voice is not yours? Is there something you're struggling with or dealing with right now? Something you're critical about? That might be a good place to start to practice. When you discover it isn't your voice, return to the sender with love. Take actions. Listen or watch the full episodes from any clip that inspired you. Take any action on clearing clutter during the break, or have fun and seek joy until we see you again. I return Tuesday, August 21st. Until then, have a great, relaxing, joyful, fun summer. Clear some clutter or not, just find the joy every day. Go out, clear the clutter to create the life you choose, deserve, and desire.
Ready to live a more joyful and fulfilling life? Sign up for our newsletter and receive a free copy of 10 Steps to Clearing Clutter Inside and Out. Learn more at reawakenyourbrilliance.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please rate and review Clearing the Clutter Inside and Out. See you next Tuesday at 1 p.m.